5. What comes next? How did you know that? I didn't tell you what's next, but your brain recognized a pattern and a relationship. In fact, it's much easier for our brains to recognize patterns and relationships between numbers than letters. So, for example, what's the difference between 5 and 1? 4, right? Well, now, what's the difference between G and C? Well, let's find out. Hey guys, thanks for joining me at ImGonnaUke. My name's Tony, and this lesson will be more like a general music lesson, really for anyone who wants to understand music a little deeper. Now, I don't know if you've ever realized it, but our brains are wired to notice patterns, and a lot of times it's easier to see patterns in numbers rather than letters. So you've probably heard ukulele players, or maybe some other musicians out there, mention, or when they're talking about chord progressions, you might hear them say, oh, this song is a 1-4-5, or this one's a 2-5-1. And you might not understand what are they talking about. Well, I'm going to teach you this number system that simplifies music and makes transposing from one key to another super simple. So after this lesson, you'll be able to play any song without knowing the chords ahead of time, just by knowing what key the song is in. If you're not already familiar with this number system, it's often called the Nashville Number system. Then in this lesson is going to expand your musical knowledge and transform not just your ukulele playing, but really your entire understanding of music. Now, if you stay with me just for a few minutes for this lesson, I'll help you improve your ukulele playing. So in this short lesson, you're going to learn the Nashville Number system, how to use it, and how to figure out the chord progression of any song, and also how to figure out any embellishment chords, like some of the color chords that we don't often study. So let's go get ready, because I think we're going to uke. Now hopefully you already know the musical alphabet of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now I know for your German viewers out there, you do have the letter H, but we're not covering that in this lesson. So now if you saw my other lesson about practicing chord changes in chord groups, then here's where we're going to put that knowledge together with the Nashville Number system. We know the names of music notes, and we know that they keep repeating, like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and so on and so on. And I bet that you've run into the challenge of needing to transpose a song to a different key, like from the key of F to probably the key of C, for example. Well, let's solve that problem the easy way. On one hand, Nashville numbers are simply referring to musical scale notes and chords by numbers rather than letters, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, rather than in the key of C, for example, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Nashville numbers use Roman numerals, both in upper and lowercase. Uppercase Roman numerals refer to major chords, while lowercase Roman numerals refer to minor chords. And when referring to the chord themselves, like we call the key or the root of that song, we call that the 1 chord. And then the next chord would be the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and so on. And because once you start thinking in terms of numbers rather than letters, suddenly you start to see patterns and relationships that form that are easier to understand. So the primary relationship in music is the 1-4-5. So this relationship between the 1, 4, and the 5 chord, it sounds very pleasant to the listener, to our ears, and really it fundamentally has to do with our brain, frequencies, math, and really the whole universe. But I'll save that for another video. So in music, the 1 note is what we call the root note, and for every root note, which is our 1 note or the key of that song, the 5th note of that scale, it always matches and sounds really nice with that root note. Now, it's not just because of preference or taste, it really has to do with the relative proportions of frequencies of the root note. So let's play an open C. So that C note, it has a frequency. And if we play the 5th note on that scale, so C, D, E, F, G, now that G note, the frequency of the G note, it is exactly 1.5 times the frequency of the C note. Now our brain recognizes that, even if we don't know anything about music, but our brain and our ear can recognize that these two pitches, these two notes, go together and they match, and it sounds really nice. The distance or the difference between two notes is called the interval, and you can always remember the interval between the 1 note and the 5th note by this tune. Let me show you another example with a G major chord. So let's strum a G major chord, and it always goes together with the 5th chord, which would be G, A, B, C, D. So let's strum a G, and then we're going to strum a D major, and then back to G. Now, if you haven't noticed this before, go back and look at every single one of your song sheets that's in the key of G, and those songs will always have a D chord in them. So the other matching chord is the 4 chord. So if we're starting with a G, the 4 chord is going to be a C. So it's G, A, B, C. So let's strum a G. We're going to strum the 4th chord, which would be a C major, and then it's back to G. No matter what key you're playing in, the main chords for that song will always be the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So when we're playing chords in a song, start thinking in terms of those numbers and those patterns. So we'll strum a G, which is going to be our 1 chord. Then we're going to strum the 5th chord. If you remember, that's our D chord. Let's strum a D, and then let's go back to G, which is the root. Now next, we're going to strum the 4 chord, which is our C chord. So here we go. C. Now let's play the D chord, which is our 5th chord. And right away, our brain and our ears have already picked up this pattern, and our ear already knows what the next chord should be. It should be a G. So your ear is waiting for the return to the root chord of G. So this is what we call the resolve or the resolution. So if a song is in the key of G, it might have the chord progression of G, D, C, D, G, but number-wise, Nashville number-wise, that would be 1, 5, 4, 5, 1. So let's play that chord progression, but this time let's say the numbers instead of the letters. So we're going to start off with our 1 chord, then the 5 chord, then we're going to change to the 4 chord, back to the 5, now back to 1. Now let's put this to the test and transpose a song from the key of G to the key of C. Now, of course, the chords are going to be different, but the relative Nashville numbers will still be the same, of 1, 5, 4, 5, 1. So if we play a C major chord as our root, or the 1 chord, we can quickly transpose the whole song because the pattern is the same, 1, 5, 4, 5, 1. And we'll find the matching chord is still the 5th chord. So for the key of C, the 5th chord is going to be G, so that's C, D, E, F, G, and then F is our 4th chord. So we're still playing the same chord progression of 1, 5, 4, 5, 1, but now in a different key. So let's try it. Let's play the same song. So we're going to play C, then our 5th chord is G, our 4th chord is F, back to 5, back to 1. We just transposed a whole song on the fly like that using Nashville numbers. That's pretty amazing. So next time you're practicing a song, mark down the chord numbers used in the song, and that'll help you, one, learn the progression, but it'll also enable you to easily transpose that song to any key. Next, I want to show you how to use Nashville numbers to figure out embellishment chords like a G7 or a D6. Now, the numbers after the chord name refer to the scale note number. So for example, a G7, which is a dominant 7th chord, means you play the G chord, which consists of 3 notes of D, G, B, but we're going to add a flattened 7th note. So that's the 7th note of the G scale. So the G scale is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, but we take that 7th note, which is a F sharp, and then we flatten it, making it lower by 1 fret to make it a F, like a normal or natural F. So we have an F note here, the 1st fret on our E string. So that's why when we're playing a G major chord, the G7, we do change our shape so we can play this F note here. Because don't forget, our open G string is our redundant G when we're playing our G major chord. We have a G here and we're playing a G here, but we don't need 2 Gs. So for a G7, we're adding our 7th note and we still have a G note. So we can play a G7. So that's how it works. Now the same thing for a D6. We're going to play a D major and then we're going to add the 6th scale note of that D scale, which would be starting from D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. So we're going to play a D major and we need to add a B note, which is our 2nd fret on our A string. So we're going to play actually all 4, so we can just bar the whole 2nd fret. And that's our D6. Using Nashville numbers, you start to see the patterns and relationships for chords that they work together for all songs. So you start learning songs by their chord patterns. You'll notice the same chord progression patterns are used in tons of songs. So you might have seen those ukulele tutorial videos that say something like, learn 10 songs with just 4 chords. Well, by learning 4 chords, you not only can play 10 songs or even 100 songs, you can actually play every single song ever made, because you can transpose any song to the one key that you do know, like a G for example, and play the same 4 chords. So this is amazing. Like, the fact that music is not random, like it follows a set of mathematical patterns. It's mind-blowing. So if you ever come across a new song, maybe you're playing with friends and they're playing a song that you don't know, you can just skip all of the non-1, 4, 5 chords and just keep playing the last 1, 4, or 5 chord until you get to the next 1, 4, or 5 chord. And the music still works because you're playing the skeleton of that song. Now, of course, if you add embellishment chords and some sevenths or some minors, you can add more color and flavor to the song, but it's not the essential skeleton of the song. All right, that was a pretty big lesson, but I hope I gave you a lot to chew on. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions or need help with anything. And if you want to continue the conversation, just connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. I'll put my links below. Don't forget to check out the new merch store. And if you'd like to support the channel, maybe you want to get one of these cool shirts, I'll have all those other links down below. And if you enjoy this content, just let me know. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And as always, have fun playing. God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one.